to pay down the national debt, did it using zero income tax and having only tariffs?
First of all, government spending back in Andrew Jackson's day was like 3% of GDP, okay? Income tax, taxes. Rich people, a lot more than poor people. The bottom 50% of people barely fucking pay income tax. They have less of an incentive to innovate because you're reducing competition. You're telling them you don't have to compete against a foreign industry anymore. They're protected. Protectionism protects them. If you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description. I hate this kid so much. I hate this. Why? I also hate Instagram so much. Why the fuck?
Are freaking out about tariffs. I'm just a kid, and I even know that tariffs can be very good for an economy. Did you know that Andrew Jackson, the only president to pay down the national debt, did it using zero income tax and having only tariffs?
First of all, like it's so obviously retarded for so many reasons. First of all, government spending back in Andrew Jackson's day was like 3% of GDP, okay? We're spending like 25% of GDP now. And the debt is 130% of GDP. I don't know what was the debt. When was Andrew Jackson president? Like 1867 or something? Or no, I'm thinking of Andrew Johnson. Wait, did he say Johnson or Jackson?
Liberals are freaking out about tariffs. I'm just a kid, and I even know that tariffs can be very good for an economy. Did you know that Andrew Jackson?
Jackson. Okay, no, Jackson was earlier than that. 17. Dude, bro. When was this guy's term? Oh wait, no. Am I thinking of this guy? 1837. Okay, so a little bit before. U.S. debt to GDP, 1837. Or I guess I should use the start of his term because he paid it down. 1829. Okay, yeah, what's it? Okay. I don't know if this goes back this far. Also, what the fuck did Fred do? Does anyone know why Fred did this? I'm not used to this. I don't even know when they did that. I just went to Fred today and I noticed the fucking colors are different. And this is a like different shade of gray, and it's fucked. Yeah, Fred doesn't go back this far. I can't imagine debt to GDP was anywhere close to what it was. Where it is now. What the fuck is this website? But this says it was 58 million. I don't know. This doesn't even. This says it was reduced to 58 million. It doesn't even say, was he just lying? He didn't even pay off the debt entirely. It was still 58 million. He just reduced it. It says 100 million after the war. So, $140 million. The speech where Ronald Reagan talked about how he voted FDR in order to end the tariffs. God, it's so annoying. And also, it's so. Let's say he did. I don't believe he. He didn't even pay down all the debt apparently, and the debt was nowhere near as high as it was today. It fucking sucks. Okay, let's say he did. Let's grant him. Andrew Jackson paid down 100% of the debt using tariffs and no income tax. That doesn't make tariffs preferable to income tax. There are a trillion different ways to raise revenue if we want to pay down the debt, or even if we just want to spend money on something. There are a lot of different ways to raise revenue. Your argument can't just be, well, in the past we raised revenue this way and that was good because we raised enough revenue to pay down the debt. That's not how it works. Of course, there was no income tax before the 16th Amendment, before the Civil War. Like, what? Yeah, of course there was no income tax. It was hard to do income tax back then in the first place. We don't have the technology to institute an income tax properly. We do now. Income tax, one, is progressive rather than regressive, right? Income tax taxes rich people a lot more than poor people. The bottom 50% of people barely fucking pay income tax. They pay like $600 a year in income tax on average. The bottom 50%. The bottom 20% of people in America don't even pay federal taxes on net. They get more benefits from the federal government than they pay in taxes by like a lot. If you make under the fucking standard deduction or whatever, you don't even like pay income tax. You would pay tariffs though. Tariffs are regressive. They tax everything at a flat rate, which means poor people are spending more as a percentage of their income on the added tax on the goods they buy. Poor people also just spend more on imported goods. A higher percentage of their income is spent on things that are imported from other countries. So it's a regressive tax. Also, income tax, share income tax, it's distortionary to some extent. Tariffs are also distortionary. Income tax doesn't make other fucking countries mad at us. Tariffs do. Tariffs invite other countries to retaliate and put tariffs on us. That's bad economically. Tariffs can harm our relationship with allies, and that's bad for, geopolitical reasons. So that's a problem income tax just doesn't have, and tariffs have. Tariffs are just not a very good way to raise revenue. They're distortionary and regressive and invite retaliation. Most other taxes don't do that.
The only president to pay down the national debt did it using zero income tax and having only tariffs. Liberals would rather tax citizens on their income and
also, it's so fucking liberals would rather. How does this guy? How do you think well, let me finish this sentence.
And tariff international organizations. Tariffs.
I don't. Tariff international organizations? You mean, little bro. U.S. companies pay the tariffs. U.S. consumers pay the tariffs. The incidence is like overwhelmingly on U.S. consumers and businesses. It's not these international organizations are like multinational companies based in the U.S. Like, I don't know what you mean. They're consumers. Do you think the tariffs in Canada and Mexico are still coming? Honestly, I don't know. I don't see Trump going through his entire 4-year term without putting some amount of tariffs on Canada and Mexico that'll actually stay up. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if there'll be universal tariffs like these ones were, although presumably these were just for negotiation or whatever, or maybe he backed out because he saw a stock market dip. One of those two scenarios is probably true. I don't see him going all 4 years without putting tariffs on at least some product from Mexico, or at least some products from Canada. Can you provide a general explanation of why Trump decided to do this to Canada? What was he trying to achieve? It's hard to know. So Trump might just not like the trade deficit. He always complains about the trade deficit. He says we're subsidizing Canada. So that could be a reason. Reason I think that might not be true, though, is because Trump has also complained about all the fentanyl coming from Canada, supposedly, even though there's only like 42 pounds of fentanyl coming from Canada. Mexico has a lot more fentanyl, but he's also complaining of it in Mexico. And maybe he was just trying to strong arm Canada into increasing their border security. Now, Canada, basically, the new thing that Canada did for their border was like, I think they said they're stationing 10,000 troops and adding like one new border czar position or whatever, or fentanyl czar position, I think they said, to stop the 42 pounds of fentanyl that come in from the northern border. Trump also claims to want American manufacturing back. It's not going to happen with universal tariffs in Canada. Maybe he think it will. Maybe he's just lying to his base to try to get them done anyway. So, it's some version of somewhere between he was just trying to strong arm Canada into increasing border security, and he has a fundamental misunderstanding of trade and what trade deficits are and how American manufacturing works or gets helped. I mean, I think he does have a fundamental misunderstanding of trade. I can't imagine literally every time that he's coming out and speaking about the trade deficit or coming out and speaking about how foreign countries pay tariffs and how American manufacturing needs to be brought back. I can't imagine 100% of that is an act. So it could have just been that he does believe those things, but saw, stock market reaction and was like, okay, I'll take what I can get from Canada, which is kind of these not super large concessions. I mean, 10,000. Are drugs really an epidemic in the U.S.? I wouldn't say from Canada they are, but yeah, drugs in general, fentanyl. Yeah. So the fentanyl overdoses are actually decreasing. They started decreasing months before Trump took office, but fentanyl is still a big problem. Yeah. Mostly that fentanyl is coming not from Canada, but from, I think Mexico is like 20,000 pounds of fentanyl crossing the border yearly. In Canada, it's like 40 pounds of fentanyl crossing yearly. Canada's not the issue here. There's some from China as well. The tariffs in China are still up, by the way. They've actually taken effect now, I think, actually. Yeah. I think it's just insecure. He wants to look like a big, strong man. I think, yeah. Well, here's the other explanation. I guess this is the third explanation, is that he just wanted good stories in the media, and he felt like he could get that even if he just got, like, relatively small concessions from Canada. I don't think the concessions from Canada are that big. He tries to paint them as like a super big concession or whatever. I don't think it's that big. With Mexico, it's arguably even worse, because we also agreed to like increase border security in our end to try to stop guns from entering Mexico. So like we're spending more on the border too because of this deal. But but doesn't it only affect the weakened population, almost like a Darwinian effect? What do you mean? Oh, drugs? Wow, thanks, ugly non-binary guy, 12 for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome, buddy. Trump supporting dad said the government is inefficient and should try to regulate the economy. I was talking about tariffs. I know, it's so weird that like all these people, like this kid even, to the extent this kid actually has political beliefs and isn't just reading the script of what his dad tells him to read, the conservatives always rave against taxes and government spending and government control, but tariffs are good. Tariffs are somehow the most efficient type of taxation and government control. It's also just so funny that MAGA like God, I hate this. So many people I've talked to even that told me Trump is going to bring manufacturing back, and you're going to look back in 4 years and manufacturing is going to be back. And you're going to know that you were wrong. Who are now like, actually Trump was never going to do tariffs, and Trump with his masterful negotiation plan. I'm like, brother, you told me that we were going to get rid of the income tax. Brother, you told me that we were going to bring manufacturing back. Tariffs that aren't implemented are not going to replace income tax. Tariffs that are not implemented are not going to bring much manufacturing back. To some extent, the threat of tariffs alone will bring some jobs back, because companies don't want to invest, in production in other countries if they think there might be a trade war between these. But there's not... To the extent that tariffs are effective at bringing manufacturing back, which I don't think they are particularly effective at doing, tariffs that are never implemented are not going to do very much of that. We need to start calling them import taxes. I know. Also, it's just like, so I think he ends his video saying tariffs over taxes. Like, brother, tariffs are taxes. What do you mean, brother?
Yes, taxes no. Liberals.
Oh yeah, tariffs yes, taxes no. Like what? Like
are freaking out.
Also, this is just ChatGPT here. Did you know tariffs can boost our economy in ways that taxes can't? Tariffs are taxes. Let's dive into why tariffs are the superhero we need. Again, ChatGPT. Fucking ourselves tax. Accurate. 1. Protect local businesses. Tariffs shield our homegrown heroes from foreign competition, allowing local businesses to flourish and create more jobs. The create more jobs part is like, you're protecting jobs in some industry at the cost of jobs in other industries. Like, right, like you're almost certainly not protecting net jobs. You might, if you tariff steel again, you're going to protect jobs in the steel industry. Jobs in all the industries that use steel are going to be harmed. Consumers are also going to have less income because they have to spend more they have less after tax income. You're taxing them. It's a tax. They have less after tax income. They have to spend more on shit, and they can't spend. They have to spend more on the tariff shit and can't spend on other things. Resources don't come out of nowhere. If you're changing, the relative profitability of sectors, and that means there's going to be more investment in sectors that you make relatively more profitable via the tariff, but also that draws investment away from other sectors. You're taking investment away from other sectors towards the now protected sector. That's not necessarily a good thing. Interesting what Trump's straightforward strategy is, considering how aggressive he's become. I don't know, it'll be really interesting to see what happens in a month if he actually does the tariffs that he paused for a month with Canada and Mexico. I'm really curious to see what happens. 2. Encourage innovation. No evidence of this. With a competitive edge, domestic industries are inspired to innovate and advance, leading to better products and services. This is just, again, it's ChatGPT. So, like, I don't want to go too hard for how fucking retarded the statement is, because they just use an AI probably to make the caption long for Instagram Reels algorithm, right? But they have less of an incentive to innovate because you're reducing competition. You're telling them you don't have to compete against the foreign industry anymore. They're protected. Protectionism protects them. Protect local business. Protect from who? From the foreign companies. There's less competition. They have less incentive to innovate because consumers have less choice now. They have to buy from them because the foreign shit's too expensive. What do you mean? This is why there's no evidence that tariffs increase productivity. All the evidence shows, both in U.S. history and world history, we have a big study of this from the IMF that's looks at 151 countries. Cato has a whole paper on this about the history of U.S. tariffs. They find in the industries that we tariffed, productivity did not increase. Productivity, in some cases, decreases. In a lot of cases, actually decreases. Because there's less competition. If I have less competition, I have less incentive to innovate, not more. What are you talking about, dog? Revenue generation. Tariffs bring in revenue without directly hitting your wallet like taxes do. This is just misinformation. Mean what I spread misinformation online? What do you mean? What do you mean? Sometimes some of the tariff incidents falls on other countries, sure, but what the most reasonable assumption is that over 90% of the incidence of the tariffs falls on people within your country, whether it be businesses or consumers. I've never seen anything that suggests under 90% of the incidence is on people domestically. Maybe I have to do more reading on a pastor rate, but oh my God. More funds for public services without the extra tax burden. These people don't even care about these people hate public services. Balanced trade. Strategic tariffs, notice strategic and not universal, can balance trade deficits, ensuring fair play across the global stage. I explained earlier in the stream why trade deficits aren't bad. There's just no reason to have balanced trade. It's just not a necessarily good thing. There's no reason to believe it's necessarily good. Also, tariffs, it says strategic tariffs. Strategic tariffs are sometimes effective in reducing bilateral trade deficits, but tariffs often don't actually reduce the trade deficit that much on net. Again, this is what the IMF study found when they looked at 151 countries over 50 years, okay? They said tariffs reduce productivity, they reduce employment, they reduce output, all these negative things, but lead to small effects on trade deficits. Because, like, for example, one thing that, first of all, God, I don't want to continue this rant for too long, but a tax on imports is a tax on exports. The same way, taxing the sale of gasoline reduces both the purchase and production of gasoline, okay? You tax one side of a transaction, both sides get, one side gets explicitly taxed, the other side implicitly taxed. If you tariff imports, if you tax imports, you also harm exports. Secondly, yeah, I was just about to mention this, exchange rate appreciation. Tariffs lead to exchange rate appreciation. They just, the whole point of tariffs is to reduce the amount that we import. That's the whole point. One of the big points of tariffs is reduce the amount that we import. When we do that, demand for foreign currency falls, which reduces the value of foreign currency and increases the relative value of the US dollar, right? That means when it's cheaper for our currency to buy other currencies, it's cheaper for us to import things. It makes it cheaper for us to import things. So we're canceling out part of the effect of the tariff. We're making it cheaper to import things. This is why when every fucking conservative, and I saw this on Twitter, made me so fucking mad, dude. When N. Wokeness and Benny Johnson were tweeting out, we tariffed, hold on. All right, let me just go through my tweets. Oh, they added, oh, no, never mind. I thought the community was going to say that. This is why when every fucking conservative is tweeting out, immediately following Trump's announcement, the value of both the Canadian dollar and Mexico peso are in free fall. Don't mess with the United States of America. And they show the value of the other currencies plummeting. They're fucking retarded for saying this. This is canceling out the effect of the tariff. The whole point of the tariff is to make it more expensive to buy their goods. The reason why countries are harmed when we tariff them is because we're not buying goods from them. We're buying less of their goods. When the value of their currency falls, it makes it cheaper for us to buy their goods. You're actively undermining the effect of the tariff. This is actively undermining the reason the tariffs hurt the country that we're imposing them on. How stupid can you be? How stupid can you be? Which effect dominates? It depends on a lot of things. I think No Opinion has a good article about this. Usually, exchange rate appreciation doesn't fully cancel out the effect of tariffs. So, so fucking stupid. I was doing it. It's so infuriating. It's so infuriating. Gotta hate this kid. Let's champion smarter economic strategies that benefit us all. Are you team tariff? Let us know in the comments. Hashtag tariffs over taxes. Okay, thank God this is not a popular thing.
I'm a conservative kid. Of course I...
Jesus.
Liberals
Anyway, I saw this and it made me really mad.
are
So that's that. I just got mad at that. And I'm justified for getting mad at that. If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to Nonfon 420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.